Oh, sorry, that was a famous. It was a famous case that happened like about 2 years ago. I think it was like this.
I think I remember.
You know, yeah, it was like this white lady who was going out for a walk, I think, and it wasn't even that late. It was like 7, 8 p.m. Do you remember when this happened?
No.
It was okay.
No,
It was been
I
by around
remember
uni
this.
time, but
Yeah.
yeah. So then she was out for a walk. I forgot her name now, but yeah, it was on over the BBC. Walking, and then out of nowhere, some guy started chasing her. Some people saw it, some people didn't speak up, obviously, and then yeah, I think something happened where sexual assault, and then she got killed in it, and unfortunately, but yeah, like I think. Yeah, we all do have a responsibility towards our community and protecting each other, right?
What did you disagree with when I said that by being a bystander is like caused by fear? That's what I think.
Right, sorry. So, first of all, do you want to finish your point? And then I'll say my explanation why.
So I think being a bystander is caused by fears because in reality, if there was no risk involved in the action that you would take, I think you'd do it. Let's say someone screaming on the other end of the platform, you're in a train, I'm going to kill myself now, I'm about to jump, I'm going to jump. Like, logically,
A lot of people
if there's no risk, you would want to drag that person, and you don't want to see someone throw themselves in front of a train because it's too much trauma for everyone. It's bad for them, bad for everyone basically. But because you in that moment you're more worried about what if I don't make it out in time? What if I end up sacrificing my leg, my limb for this? Or what if I cause a scene? What if the constant overthinking, the what if, the fear of judgment? A lot of people will freeze up. A lot of people will you'll be surprised. Let's say even particularly a place like London, especially, there'll be someone screaming, doing something outrageous. No one will react because everyone feels conditioned that they have to just have that sort of self-image.
Yeah.
And I think the way that people care so much about what other people think about them, that also links to social media. You're probably watching this on a social media app. But the way that people care about every single thing that other people do, it's just so toxic in it. And even in small situations, completely unrelated, that same mindset, I think, still leads to the allowance of tragedies.
You're not in, Benin?
I
No,
wasn't.
you said you disagreed with
What?
him.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to jump in, but
I was
was there something you were going to say?
What I was gonna add in isn't. It's not really a point. It's more of a question. My question is to that person, for example, who
Yeah.
you're saying is so thinking about it. Oh, what about if I don't make it in time? How I'm gonna look? How can that person let that go? Because I'm sure you're gonna bring up a good argument, but so far I do actually agree with
I've got an
that.
answer
The whole
to that.
fear thing.
I've got an
I
answer.
do agree that we are extremely obsessed with how we look in every regard.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious as to how somebody can get past that. I know there's the traditional delete social media, this, that, and the other, but I'm sure you have a more
I've
in-depth
actually got an
answer.
answer to that, to be honest.
The way the way you can get past, I think, that sense of fear is not easy at all, and it's not one that can be done, I think, even in a single generation. I think it requires an entire movement of kind of self-belief. That's what it requires. It requires people to genuinely believe that their lives and their actions have high value. They need to believe that by saving this person, that's something as admirable or more admirable than winning £1 billion, getting onto Britain's Got Talent, onto Netflix. All of these false idols that we're given, growing up as kids, brainwashed to believe that anyone on TV, anyone in that is almost equivalent to God in a way. Like, I look at the way we idolize, I don't know, footballers, singers, rappers. They're ordinary people just like us, in ordinary situations. And then you'd look at, and then you'd say something like, would you rather, I don't know, save a homeless person from? You can probably try this as a social experiment. Ask young people, would you rather save a homeless person, or would you rather, I don't know, be on stage or do something with your favorite celebrity or something like that? And the unfortunate prediction that I have is a lot of the younger generation, younger than us, I think they're so desensitized that they're actually going to prefer something virtual. They're going to prefer a virtual reward over a real life reward. I think the blurring between virtual and real life leads to the point where people just, they don't really have regard for real life human stuff. I just think it's going.
I think
that's a trend.
you're wrong, and the reason I said I had to answer that is because I think about what Barmani said to us, our last guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the previous episode.
Um,
Go check out.
Listen,
episode
check
six.
it out if you haven't.
Check it out, guys.
Episode 7, innit?
I
Yeah,
think so.
man.
This
If you haven't
week-
checked out, what are you doing?
this is
Listen, like, add the little like notification thing.
chronologically
Where
speaking, there's still 3 or 4 other podcasts.
Huh?
to edit.
Oh, that's calm, man. That's calm, man. Throwback was just on a Thursday. Let's do it on a Thursday, innit? So we can do Throwback Thursday.
Okay. The reason I said I had a response to that was I think about what she said, innit? And it's not about fear. I don't even agree with you that fear would stop somebody from saving a bystander. You spoke about I would help somebody if there was no risk to myself versus I wouldn't help somebody if there was risk to myself. You might see increase, probably, yeah. But I think the culture, the society we live in here, people still just don't give a fuck. They don't care. Like, you walk past in London or anywhere in general, a homeless person can be screaming. They'll just walk past and ignore them. They don't care at all.
Just the culture of just not caring about.
They don't care
other
because it's
people.
not their problem. It's almost a sort of selfishness. It's almost a sort of looking down on them. It's almost like if you're talking about a train, like someone's probably thinking, oh, I gotta get to work, man. What's all this about? But the reason I say the solution is because Barmani said people are too poor to sort of buy community. And she said that specifically about Londoners. She said you need to have money to buy community. And Londoners are so poor that all they do is spend their money on housing and paying their bills. They can't afford these basic amenities like community and sort of things like that will make a society. And the solution really is, I think of a country like Nigeria or something like that. Or maybe you can even think about your own home country. The type of a different society that we're living in, they have social media as well. The youth all have social media. They probably still do care about, in our cultures, they care about how you make the family look.
Yeah.
So they care about self-appearances. But were somebody to jump off a bridge or someone was to be on a cliff edge, people wouldn't just be like watching that, not caring, because the community just doesn't see that as a possibility. What you need really is not to change people's view through social media. It's to sort of start to raise people to care about others. You need community. Like, you need to care about your society. You need to care about your fellow man. Like, the same way, it might be an odd example, but it makes, the sense that it makes is that I was walking once and there was a woman somewhere to my left. I threw some litter, but the wind blew, so it didn't go in the bin. So I've went to now pick it up and put it in the bin. The woman says to me, "That's good what you did." Her thought process must be like, "Oh, these kids will litter, they don't care." People do stuff like fly tipping where they'll be driving, they'll throw rubbish out of their car, they don't care. Because people in society have a "I don't care" attitude. So she must have saw me sort of pick up that thing that I missed and put it in, and she was happy that a young person did the right thing, because people don't do the right thing and they don't care. What you need in society is you need to start raising people to care about each other and to care about the community they live in, to kind of take a bit of pride, like, so that you don't live. Even my mum was getting mad at us the other day about putting rubbish in the recycling bin, and we were just laughing like, "Oh, yeah, he's gonna have to remove it." And she was like, "But why don't you care? Like, people are paying for this, people are trying to sort this out. Why don't you care? It might not affect you, like, it might not personally end your life or be significant in your day, but like, people are trying to do something. They create recycling for a reason. They build roads for a reason. Like, you should care about the community in which you live." She often tells me, in Nigeria, they had like when she was growing up, they had like inspectors that would come to your house, make sure it was clean, that sort of certain bacteria wouldn't spread and stuff like that. They will come to your house on a weekly basis. Why? Because people cared about the society. What you're talking about, in Western countries, we have a lot of, if it's not my problem, I don't care. If it ain't me, I don't care. Well, think about something just simple like, if you saw somebody in your school getting bullied, would you speak up? Do you have the balls to speak up? You'd want someone to speak up. You want to know that you're in a school where somebody will speak up for your child, or your child will speak up, because you want people to care about more than just themselves. And that I'll be real, that probably takes religion. It probably takes some sense of pride in community or something like that. That's the solution. I don't think it's a social media, because people can't really just keep sort of blaming socials or saying that it's because people care too much. People care about themselves everywhere, but they don't care about the things that sort of matter and make a community and make a society. That's what it is.
I got a few points, I got like 4 or 5 points cooking now.
Go on.
So they're all going to link together in it to make my final point, or my final 2 points. So the first point is, I feel like you're talking about selfishness versus selflessness. That's your point. It's the duality of man, of thinking about oneself and thinking about others. I think intrinsically we do think about ourselves in it until we're taught to think about others, which is your point, as you were seeing within communities like within countries like Nigeria and whatnot. But then I think that in itself links into like the values we're taught in the communities we grew up in. So of course, ethnically you're Nigerian, but so you're gonna be brought up with Nigerian values based on your family, innit? Obviously, it's common values I'm gonna say here within Nigeria. But then you're also gonna be brought up with the values of the British, right? Because of the area you're growing up in, because of the people you're interacting with, etc. So those two values are gonna combine together to create the values that you have, as well as like things like religion and other stuff, right? Then the next point I was gonna make was that you guys are talking about like, thinking about others, thinking about like, people more likely want to. Sorry, no, this is your point. You were talking about like, people would rather go spend time with celebrities than help a homeless man. I think that links into the religion point, which is people are more obsessed with what's going to happen in this temporary world than the long term in what's going to happen in the next life. You know what I mean? What the accountability for their own actions, right? About like, if someone asks you on your last day, you're going to be like, oh yeah, what was something that made you happy? Like, it could be like, oh, I really helped this guy out when you really needed me in it. You won't think about the time that you sung with Jay-Z or something, bro. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, the sad truth is that some people will think of that. I think it all links into the two things. You were saying social media is not to blame, but I think that's not quite right.